Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Family by Design. Here, Liz and I talk about how do you find the one? Is there the one person that you'll marry? And so we get into some great conversation that I feel like will really help you, really lead you, give you some wisdom on your journey in your marriage. Whether you're looking for a spouse, believing God for a spouse, or you're already married, this is going to help you. So be blessed as you listen. Okay, so this is a brand new episode for a brand new season that we're calling Coming Together.
Yeah.
And the goal with this season is not only to understand like how people come together, how maybe the ideal way that they come together, God's design, and just talk about some of the different ideas that people have about how people come together.
Right.
But then also, really, once people do come together, we want them to stay together.
Right.
We live in a world where divorce is especially in Western society, divorce is a real thing.
Yeah.
And we want to not see that. We want to see people stay together. And I think that a lot of people staying together is coming together the right way. So coming together isn't just like, hey, I found somebody, but it's like, what do you do from the time that you find somebody? Like how does that actually translate over into a productive marriage, and how you build your foundation and things is, it's incredibly important. So this particular topic, in this episode, we're going to talk about, how do we phrase this? Is there one person?
Right.
Is there just the one person? And, people talk about I've got like a soulmate, and, there's a soulmate out there. I've heard people say lots of weird stuff. I heard somebody say one time that they're married, the person they're married to isn't their soulmate. And I'm like, I don't know. People have all kinds of weird ideas. But this in particular, I had to look and remember, how did we title this exactly? It's how to know when you have found the one.
Yes. How do you know?
Yes.
And I think we have to be careful even about like that language of soul mate, because
I don't really find that in the Bible. But
no, but you can get soul ties.
You can.
Which can make you maybe feel like they're your soulmate, but actually the enemy has come in, and just life in general. And because you've opened yourself up, your soul up to another person when maybe you shouldn't have, you develop a soul tie to them. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, especially if it's not of the Lord or from the Lord, that you need to actually detach yourself from.
So we could do a whole episode on soul ties. We're not going to do that now, but just very briefly,
that's serious.
It is serious. So sometimes people think that they have found the one because they have some kind of soul tie. And there are lots of different kinds of soul ties. The strongest one is a sexual soul tie.
Yep.
And so when there has been, any kind of sexual activity with other people other than your spouse, well, there shouldn't be any of that after you get married. But if you've before you've been married, right, if you've been with other people, you need to go in and cut those soul ties, because when you have sexual relationships with somebody else who's, not your spouse, you have a tie to them that you need the Spirit of God to break that off.
Yes.
But then there's other kind of soul ties too that people can have.
A lot of emotional soul ties.
Emotional soul ties, people that find they have maybe similar traumatic backgrounds, and they'll build a relationship. And
we call that trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding, yes. There can be like people that are in like rehab together. There can be some of that is a little bit healthy as far as like learning to lean on each other while you're going through something. But then you have to begin to identify with freedom and not the bondage, right, and all of the trauma and stuff. So it's a fine line. But sometimes people will end up bonding over all kinds of things, and we should not have. So when you think about anything that's negative, it's a counterfeit to positive. Mm-hmm. God made us to have soul ties with our spouse.
Right.
Like you and I are very interwoven in every sense of the word, and we are supposed to be.
Right.
And this is why whenever people step outside of the marriage and commit adultery and things like that, that it becomes it's a very, very terrible thing. It did bring so much destruction.
Well, and even like emotionally, because you could maybe not commit adultery like sexually, but like you could be in emotional relationships with other people inside of your marriage and develop bad
You mean while you're married?
Yeah,
but
while you're
not
married
with your spouse,
but not with your spouse,
Yeah.
because you relate to somebody, especially it's not good if it's like the opposite sex, because they maybe are emotionally present for you where your spouse isn't.
Right.
And instead of working that out through with your spouse, you go find somebody else, and then you develop bad a bad connection.
Yeah.
Well, it's a connection. It doesn't feel bad. Emotionally, it feels great. And so you want more of it. And so you create more disconnect from your spouse and more connection with a negative thing. And so
and then that's how affairs start. Most
Right.
like infidelity doesn't happen just because of like, I'm not saying it doesn't, but most of it doesn't happen just because of like, well, you're hot, I'm hot, we're hot, let's jump in the sack.
Right.
Most of it starts with people having
Emotion.
emotional ties and things like that.
Yeah.
But okay, so we're talking not about soul ties on this, okay? But we're talking about, and not about adultery and that kind of stuff. We're talking about how do you know when you have found the one? So here's a question I'm going to pose to you. Is there the one? Because there is great debate about, can you just marry somebody, or does God have a specific somebody for you? So give us your verdict on that.
I don't think our verdicts are the same. I'm going to say there is one. But the person that you end up marrying becomes the one, whether it's what God intended or not. So you have to be careful about that. I do believe that there is somebody intentionally prepared for you.
So far, I don't disagree with any of this.
Okay.
I don't know why you
Prepared-
thought we're so different.
Prepared
God, we're having this discussion.
Yeah. Be prepared for you since the beginning of time. And we have to trust the Lord and lean not on our own understanding and not make our own way, and just develop our relationship with God. And as we're walking with Him, then our paths will cross. And so
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say yes. I believe that there is one, but I don't believe that you should take matters into your own hands, making
Sounds like you're
it
speaking
happen.
from experience.
I am speaking from experience, because I do believe that even though I didn't have a deep relationship with the Lord, like I don't know, something in me, I knew that you were the one, but then I made that happen. I tried to make it happen. I forced it to happen instead of just developing and trusting the Lord. I took matters into my own hands.
And there was benefit that came from that.
I don't know.
I mean, I was dragging my feet, to say the very least, so who knows? But so my take is, I do believe that the Lord, because the Lord has, He has the the days of our life numbered and planned out. And I don't mean that like when people die early, that He wants them to die early. I don't mean that. I just, the days that He has are fashioned, that we have, that He has for us, are fashioned by Him.
Right.
And so there's, Psalm 139 talks about that there's a book of life that God has written for us, that He has planned for us. So if marriage is in your heart, then I believe that God placed that there. Marriage is a good thing. The Bible says that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing, and he obtains favor from the Lord. There's favor from God in marriage. I'll say particular favor that can come through marriage that cannot be found outside of marriage. Now, if you're married, there's inherent blessings and challenges in that. If you're single, there's inherent blessings and challenges in that. But for example, one can put 1,000 to flight, but two can put 10,000 to flight. There is what's the term that you have when you come together? A synergy is the term. it's a worldly term. I don't know what the spiritual term would be, but it's like, when you can do this much on your own and you would think that this person can do this much and they come together, now you're doing twice as much. But the reality is you have two people come together that could only do so much by themselves. They come together and they do 10 times as much.
Right.
And so what you can accomplish in a marriage is really something special, and God is the one that put that there. So if marriage is in our heart, then we should have an expectation that God has the person that he already has planned for us. Now, here's where you were probably thinking you have a different viewpoint on this than I do. And it's because I've said maybe some things like this. Because with that being said, there's people that could be listening to this that they go, there's so many different scenarios. One of those scenarios could be that they were divorced and the other person was that they finally end up getting married, and the person they're married to, they were divorced. And so they came together, and it's like, did God have that planned all along? God hates divorce. God doesn't plan divorce. So did they miss it the first time and now they're really married to the one? Or were they both married to the one before and life got in the way and things got screwed up? Or possibly their spouses died. It wasn't a divorce situation. We've seen that before. Both spouses died. They come together and get married. So like, how do you figure all that stuff out? And I don't know the answer. I know ministers that believe, like we do, that God has the one. But then they're also, and I know other ministers that say God doesn't have the one. You become attracted to somebody. They're attracted to you. You build a healthy relationship with them, and then you get married. And I have lots of problems with that being the overall philosophy. Because it just leaves too much open for like, okay, well, God's got these things planned for you in your life, but you want to marry this person. Okay, I'll rewrite the book of your life. And I have a problem with that. But life is messed up, man. People deal with a lot of problems. They deal with a lot of stuff. I feel like we've had plenty of problems and plenty of issues, but maybe the one thing that we did besides putting our trust in Jesus and falling in love with Jesus, I feel like one thing we really did right is that we ended up together. I said this the other day, just kind of jokingly. I said, I would marry you all over again. You said, would you? I said, yes. And then seriously, yeah, absolutely, I would marry you all over again. And so, I feel like we did that very right. And a lot of people don't have that particular testimony. They've been through a lot of stuff and they're like, hey, the Lord brought us together. And now we've got this great marriage, but we did all kinds of wild, crazy, stupid stuff for 20 years. So people have lots of different stuff. So I don't ever want someone to feel painted into a box of like it has to look like us, because most people don't look like us and we don't look like most people. But I do believe that there is the one. But if you haven't found the one, understand if you have a desire for marriage, then God will bring about a spouse for you.
Right.
And there's such a blessing in waiting and allowing God to do this.
Yeah.
And we see this so much with single people in our life, in the church, and family members, where so many people, they have a desire to get married and God put that there, but then sometimes they're not patient and wait for the Lord to bring at that point, whatever point in their life, whether they're 18 or they're 80 or anywhere in between, they get impatient and they don't wait for the Lord, and they end up getting yoked up to somebody maybe that they're attracted to physically, because physical attraction is important.
It is important.
They might be physically attracted to that person. However, they're not yoked with them, and they step into an unhealthy situation, and then they have a battle on their hands for the next 5 years or 20 years or the rest of their life, however long that thing lasts. And so I do think we should have a mentality of there is the one, even if circumstances previous might not look to that. I think if you're single, you should say, God is going to bring the one he has for me. I think that's right, because you at the same time you're praying that, hopefully the other person is praying that as well. If they're not, I would say they're not right for you, because they should have an expectation that God's bringing this thing together.
Right.
If you are married already and you married the wrong one, then people could say, "Oh God, I would never let that happen." Oh yeah, people do stupid stuff all the time. How do you think they get They'd go out and have prostitutes. God didn't bring that together, right? And so you can marry the wrong one. But once you get married, I believe marriage is so serious that you should say, now they're the right one. And I'm going to make this work. And there could be extenuating circumstances and all that. I'm not trying to paint every situation with just one broad stroke. But I'm saying when you go into marriage, you even if you messed up, you should really work to make that thing work, because you made a commitment and you should honor that commitment.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people don't value maybe the commitment that they made, or it's like kind of nonchalant. And I think, that's something that we need to, be committed to and pay attention to. And the statement that you said for people who are married, I think this is very important and very powerful. They are now the one.
Yeah.
They're the one. And we just then begin to ask the Lord, this is like another place of trust where we say, they're the one, and I'm committed to this relationship. So Lord, now work on me, adjust me, and help me be the helpmate to my spouse.
Yes. So I want to answer this question because we're about out of time. I want to answer this question that is so important and really fits into the main point of this particular podcast. Is how do you know when you have found the one? So give me your answer to that. How do you know when you found the one?
I don't know that I have a good answer. Like I would say like there's like peace surrounding that. We have to be careful because every relationship takes work and it's not easy. Now there should be an ease in it and a desire, but like when you're joining two different people, individuals into one place and space, like you're going to find out real soon where you have pride and where you need to be walking in humility, and where you're being selfish, and like all these things that you kind of lay down so that you can merge to learn to become one. So it's going to be work, and we should always put work into our marriage.
So that's what happens after you find the one. What happens?
I know. How do you know?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know how to answer that. Like I can answer what the Lord did for me. He had confirmation outside of like when I was asking, I had a dream.
Yeah.
And I saw us in the future.
Can I just speak to this real quick? Like,
yes.
I know we're about out of time. Yeah. First of all, I believe what you said is right. That is the very first thing you said is like, there'll be a peace there. But I will say in addition, I also think that God will bring confirmation.
Yeah.
Marriage is like, if you're saying, hey, where are we going to eat lunch? Lord, where do you want us to eat lunch? And you're waiting on a confirmation. I don't know. You may not get that. You might die of hunger before you get that one. But when it comes to marriage, God is going to bring confirmation to you. I can emphatically and with all confidence say, anybody listening to this, if you're like, is this person the right one? He will confirm to you yes or no. Now, if you're already set, like, and you're like, oh God, speak to me, but you're thinking, I'm going to marry this person. I'm looking for any twinge of a sign to go ahead and affirm my decision. You done messed up.
Right.
You should be at a point to say, Lord, if this is of you, I want you to confirm this. If this is not of you, I want you to confirm that it's not of you.
Yeah, that's really good.
And one of the ways that he does this, so first of all, God leads with desire, and then furthermore with peace. If you don't have a desire for something, it ain't God, right? Especially if you're delighting yourself in him,
right?
He's going to give you those desires. But once you have a desire, you need to be led by peace. Do you have peace about this? Not do you think they're sexy? You know what I'm saying? Like you could take anybody's that. But do you have peace about this? But when the Lord brings a confirmation, most of the time, but maybe much of the time, it will come through people who know you and or them. And if you are like, let's say you're in a church, this is one of the craziest things. It just shows how people are so desperate and will do whatever. You have people that are in a church, they're plugged in, they're on fire for Jesus, they're relating to people, and then they'll go and marry somebody that's in a completely different, not just different circle, because like, you know, people all over the place are in Christian circles that it's like, it's mostly grandmas here. Like, you know, there's nobody here my age, right? Or it's mostly younger people. I need someone my age, I'm older, or whatever. And so there's some practicality to like, you're going to end up probably meeting somebody in a different, maybe a different circle, but they shouldn't be in a different lifestyle.
Right.
People will jeopardize their relationship with the Lord and yoke up with somebody just for the sake of getting married. That's stupid.
Right.
That's
Which
stupid.
kind of shows.
So here's my point with this is that the people that you are tied into with the Lord, which most of the people listening to this probably already are. If you're not, you need to get plugged in with people that are in love with Jesus. Otherwise, if you're going to get married, you're going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. The people you're with will confirm. If they have any spiritual sense at all, they're going to help you be able to bring confirmation to your heart and your life, whether this thing be of God or not of God. I'm not in favor of arranged marriages, but I am in favor of the activity behind an arranged marriage. And that is that the parents on both sides, the bride and the groom, both have an agreement that the thing is right. Now, I don't think they should be like, you marry my daughter, you marry my son. I think that's goofy. But I think it should be that both parents have a confirmation of this is going to work well. And if someone's wanting to get married and they have spiritual parents who know God and they haven't got that affirmation from their parents, they probably should consider doing that because their parents know them better than they know them. So those are some thoughts that I think. I think there is the one at whatever stage of life, God has one for you, but there needs to be some confirmation.
Yeah, I want to say one thing. And in relation, going back now that I've had a moment to think and listen to you talk, is this the one? Can you honestly and authentically go before the Lord and say, God, I trust you so much that if this is the one, then we'll proceed. But if it's not the one, then take it away. I think that's
right. And I trust you to bring the one after this.
Right.
That's right.
Because if we can't get to that place where we're willing to put our spouse or soon to be spouse or what we're thinking like on the altar,
yep,
then it's not right.
And we're not ready to be married.
And it like we have to be like, this is one of the biggest decisions in our life to make. And like God, he's so good and he's so faithful and he loves us so much. And that if we're scared, we shouldn't enter. That's a wrong way to enter into marriage because I don't know if somebody else will come. And this is the only person that's ever shown interest and what if and how come and blah, blah, blah. Those are not reasons.
Right.
Oh, this person's comfortable. This person's always been in my life, blah, blah, whatever. Like, it's like, can you go genuinely before the Lord and say, is this a yes, God, or is this a no? And if it's a no, I'm going to trust you to do all the work that needs to be like that. We can just walk away and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Or we're going to proceed and it's going to be okay. That's where you have the peace.
Amen. It's good. Good wisdom. Thanks for tuning in to Family by Design. We're so thankful you took this time to listen and participate with Liz and I as we discuss these very important things concerning marriage and family. If you're blessed by this ministry, in particular this podcast, we'd love it if you would leave a review. It'll absolutely help boost our ratings and help other people to be able to find this podcast to bless them as well. We want to give a special thanks to our partners. Those of you that partner with Ward Ministries, you make this possible. If you'd like more information about partnership, you'd like to become a partner with us, you can go to wardmen.org and find all the information there, as well as other resources. So we bless you in the name of the Lord. Thanks for tuning in.